Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back to Dead Malls, your one home for the spookiest and most thorough mall tours on the web. Tonight's episode, which was originally supposed to be North DeKalb, was lost, as the video file itself literally got corrupted right as I finished it, which was so unfortunate, but instead we'll come back to that another day, and tonight focus on a different mall, that actually being two frozen malls in the north, frozen in temp and time. With the first we're looking at being the abandoned Hampton Towne Center in Essexville, Michigan, a mall that quite literally felt like I was stepping into the 1970s. Sealed off from the public for over 15 years, Hampton Towne Center, or as it was first known, Hampton Square, was a mall I've wanted to see for years. I remember trying to get in here unsuccessfully during my first Michigan trip, but coming back in winter of 2025, my friend and I snuck inside so that I could tell you the hidden story of this forgotten gem of retail. And to those that stick around, I'll be sharing my short bit of footage of the terrifying, dark, and dingy Adrian Mall, another abandoned mall which sits decaying and slowly falling apart. But first, I welcome you all to the beautiful, hidden world of Hampton Towne Center. There was definitely this sense of, am I actually seeing this right now? I mean, I literally just couldn't believe what I was seeing. This mall, which sits as a literal time capsule, was so amazing. Still frozen in time to this day. Nowadays, though, it is definitely looking rather worse for wear. Compared to seeing the mall in Dan Bell's video from 8 years ago, it has really started to seriously fall apart. And there was active maintenance somewhere in the mall, as power cords still lit up a few industrial fans in the center court, which I suppose was to keep the air moving and from getting moldy. It's definitely getting bad though. I mean, just look at this overgrown planter. 8 years ago you could still see the couch cushions. Nowadays, in the dead of winter, those plants are still growing, like some sort of fungus.
It's weird how it's the middle of winter, but these plants are completely overtaking the mall. That's creepy as f***.
Hampton Towne Center's story begins in early 1974 in the small city of Bay City, Michigan, where at the corner of Pine and Michigan State Highway 25, retail developers Ramco Gershenson would sign a partnership with Kmart to anchor a new 200,000 square foot enclosed mall on the east side of town. At a cost of $8 million, Hampton Square Mall, as it was first called, was believed to become the retail hotspot for all of the Bay County area and the Thumb. Construction began in late 1974, with the opening of the mall planned for the following fall of 1975.
Look at that. You can't even see the couch cushions anymore, but there's a couch under there. Completely overtaken.
Being a Kmart mall, it's only fair that we hear at least a few classic Kmart tunes over the radio, and given this Kmart's age itself, I'm pretty sure it actually probably would have played these very tunes at one point over their own speakers. Aside from the overgrown conversation pits, another one of my favorite aesthetics in this small mall are those brilliant kites which are strung up all around the different courts. Please let me know down below, timestamp it, and let me know which kite inside of Hampton Square is your favorite. On Wednesday, November 12, 1975, Hampton Square Mall would open its doors for the first time, with grand opening celebrations continuing throughout the week and into the weekend. The mall would open day one with two major anchor stores, Saginaw-based Weichmann's, who were testing their first location outside of the downtown Saginaw store, and Kmart, because it's Michigan, so of course the mall's gonna have a Kmart. The small plus-shaped mall would feature over 20 inline stores opening day one, some of those being Circus World, Hot Sam, Sofro Fabrics, Kinney Shoes, Fanny Farmer, Aladdin's Castle, Camelot Music, Lil Chef, Town & Country, and Carter's, with several more to follow in the coming months. Aesthetically, the mall bore an identical resemblance to the way you see it today. Aside from carpet being added to the center court later on, Hampton Square still looks the way it did upon opening day, with most of the old name brands of the past, most of which being long extinct, still posting facades, perhaps some of the very last in the modern day. Shoppers in 1975 were delighted with Hampton Square's beautiful and simple tree and flower-filled courts, lamplit corridors, and tall, airy ceilings, complete with bulb-wrapped skylights. In the center court lie the mall's water fountain, an iconic piece that has surprisingly stood the test of time, though I genuinely can't imagine when the last time they pumped water through there was. I mean, it has to have been decades at least. Hampton Square quickly thrived upon its late 75 opening, with strong holiday sales boosting it into 1976. Stores opened through the year, further filling out its small but stacked roster, included those like B. Dalton Bookseller, Zales, McCandless Hallmark, Gus's Coney Island, Winkleman's, Ganto's, Sagebrush, and the Mary Ann Shop. Along with the A&P grocery store and a pre-existing two-screen movie theater bowling alley complex behind the mall called the Eastland Bowling Center, Hampton Square quickly proved even more popular than Ramco could have hoped, and the rest of the 70s were prosperous. However, an incident mid-1981 proved that no mall, not even in a small simple town, was safe from crime.
Stars are beautiful. I love the kites.
A lot of the stores and spaces that you see in this former JCPenney wing were never occupied, or only occupied by offices or organizations for brief periods of time. Those temporary walls you saw near the old JCPenney were potential store space, but I'm guessing because it was never built, it's just gutted space behind there. The story of JCPenney in this mall is actually rather tragic, and we'll get to it in the history, but first, I want to let you all enjoy the center court for just a bit.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even realize the neons in the ceiling. So fucking cool. Legacy Galleria. Galleries. Interesting.
This mall is completely littered with reminders of the past, whether that be the old McDonald's turned dugout hot dogs, or the mall's original tenants, like Hot Sam here, which I'm sure kids from the 70s and 80s remember as their favorite place to get hot soft pretzels. And correct me if I'm wrong, but this chain, which once had hundreds of locations in malls all across the US, is now completely extinct, with the bulk of them closing during the 1995 purchase by Mrs. Fields. The last 10 Hot Sams closed in 2005, making this Hot Sam in Hampton Square the very last of its kind, still sporting a facade 20 years later. On Saturday, May 16th, 1981, a rather heinous crime occurred in the mall. Shoppers, completely unaware of the disturbing event about to take place, were rocked when loud gunshots echoed through the mall. Moments prior, a local Bay County man by the name of Lawrence Demmel entered the mall through the back Kmart entrance, where he approached his estranged wife, Carol Demmel, who was working at Lerner Shops at the time. He would then pull out a semi-automatic rifle, shooting her 12 times point blank. He then placed the gun on the ground and laid on the floor with his hands behind his back. Shoppers, co-workers, and friends of Carol, shocked and no doubt freaking out at this point, raced to call the police, and Lawrence was taken away. Mrs. Demmel, the mother of 2 children, had just divorced from her husband after 13 years of marriage. Shockingly, and most disturbingly, Lawrence was set free just months later, as he was somehow able to convince a jury that he was insane and possessed by demons at the time of the shooting. He was then admitted to the Center for Forensic Psychiatry in Ann Arbor, where he was quickly found to be sane, and through this legal loophole, the courts let him loose. And this is where the tragic story ends. The murder of an innocent woman, and the man that did it walked free. It all hurt the mall for a short time, as locals were scared to step back into Hampton. Yet in time, the mall was able to slowly come back. While it might not be Christmas yet, that doesn't mean we can't still sprinkle in just a tiz of the season. And this echoey Christmas tune feels almost too fitting for the forgotten mall, lost in time and seemingly stuck in the holidays, with those amazing little snowflake lights. While this music was added in post, I'm sure if I actually snuck into the back office and started playing music over the old speakers, this is probably what it would sound like. In early 1989, works began carving out the old main entrance for a small new expansion wing and the mall's new third anchor, JCPenney, which would move from their 30-year-old downtown store to a brand new marble-clad one at the mall. In fall of 1989, JCPenney officially opened as the mall's third anchor, bringing Hampton Square to just around 250,000 square feet of retail space. However, this expansion and the lingering optimism for the mall's future became stagnant, as few stores actually came to inhabit the new expansion wing, aside from some offices, and instead the mall began to struggle. Foot traffic and ease of flow were greatly inhibited by the new addition, as now shoppers had to enter the mall through side entrances or the back. In October of '89, the existing 2-screen inside the bowling complex would show its final films before closing for good. A 4-screen theater, which had been built years prior as an additional out parcel in the back, would subsequently be renamed to the Eastland Quad on October 12, 1989. In 1991, however, the death blow came, as the much better positioned and closer to the interstate Bay City Mall which is now its own dead mall, opened on the other side of town, with dozens more offerings than Hampton. Almost immediately, tenants began flocking to the new mall, leaving Hampton Square in a world of its own troubles. Immediately after Bay City Mall's opening, the struggling Hampton would file for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in November of 1991. Several stores would close, and in 1992, just a little over 2 years after opening, JCPenney would close their store at Hampton Square Mall, moving to a new one at the Bay City Mall, leaving the old JCPenney a dark void and its entire expansion wing dead and suffocated. Now let's take a quick pause in the history to quickly explore the remains of this old town and country, which was another one of the opening day tenants. You can definitely see it in all of those rich wood designs and arches. Oh my gosh, everything about this store is so 1970s. I mean, this is about as 1970s as it gets. The mall would be purchased by a group of California businessmen in late 1992, where it would garner its new name, Hampton Towne Center. However, aside from the name change, a few new aesthetics, and the carpet in the center court, they did little for the mall, and Weichmann's, another major draw for the mall, would close their doors in bankruptcy in 1993. And from here on out, it began to seriously look bleak for the once prosperous mall. Before we get to the mall's downfall and death, I want to let you all see a bit more of the Kmart wing, which just felt so haunted. By this point, my friend had left, and I alone skulked about to see what more I could see. However, I felt this actual, genuine uneasiness, as if there was someone watching me from the darkness of each of these abandoned stores. Hampton Towne Center would limp through the rest of the 1990s, losing its remaining name brands. A short-lived McDonald's would open in the center court around this time, which later became the Dugout. By the late 90s, most stores had closed, with offices, churches, and other organizations taking their place. However, the biggest loss came as Kmart closed their doors in 2002 as one of the last original names and the mall's last major department store. Now anchorless, Hampton Towne Center sat empty most days. Aside from maybe a few mall walkers day to day, the mall became a void and closed some of its last names. Hallmark, in their third and final location near Kmart, ceased operations in December of 2002, and a nearby drapery shop closed in 2004. By 2005, the sign out front was a depressing reminder of the now forgotten mall on the east side of town, listing the few names still clinging to life inside the mall, as well as several that were already gone. The Hampton 5 behind the mall, after years of declining sales, would close for good on January 14th, 2009, with the final restaurant in the mall, the Mandarin House, formerly Little Chef, actually the one we're walking through here, closing that year too. Hampton Towne Center, after nearly a decade of sitting dead and vacant, would close its doors for the last time on September 30th, 2010. This old Mandarin house, as you just heard, was one of the very last to close. It was so surreal to be walking through it, with all of the tables and chairs still put up. It's like they just got done one night, closed up the place after a dinner service, and never came back. 15 years later, and they're still here, coated in dust and spider webs, but everything is still here. Local businessman Art Dorr would purchase the old mall in August of 2011, hoping to fix up and bring the once iconic mall back to life in some way. Back then, the mall was in amazing shape, with trees still left to grow in the old anchor courts. However, little interest came Art's way in the coming years, aside from that of Dan Bell in 2017, who was one of the first to see it in its frozen, ghostly state. Few more YouTubers would pop their heads in over the years, and Art's plan of giving tenants 1 year of free rent as long as they stayed in the mall for 5 years, an interesting idea, unfortunately went nowhere. In late 2022, Art Dorr would pass away, and the mall has remained abandoned since, now falling into a serious state of decay. While it does look like some maintenance is active here, ceilings are still rotting away, and broad daylight showing through the rusted roof is never a good sign for these abandoned malls. And now we're gonna head just down the interstate to another abandoned mall, Adrian Mall, in the small town of Adrian, Michigan. This one more literally frozen, as we got there after the sun had set and temps dropped, so as I found a way in, I stepped through puddles which slowly froze and cracked under my footsteps. I had a constant 200 drips and other sounds coming from all around me, because this mall actually has roof and structural integrity problems, and I was super scared, feeling like I was once again being watched, and like something was gonna come out of the darkness. Also, somebody please tell me why there was a power strip plugged in right by the door where I got in. Who else was in here with me? We're not going to deep dive into the history of Adrian Mall because, well, I wasn't here for very long and I didn't see near as much as I wanted to, which wasn't necessarily a bad thing. I just got a really weird vibe while in here. All the dripping sounds, which sounded like pounding footsteps, coupled with the security camera in the center court and the fact that all of the entrances into this mall are giant glass panels that look out onto a busy road, and it felt like someone outside might see me. So instead of doing the whole video thing, I'm just gonna let y'all enjoy my small exploration, and I'll be back in just a bit. The old JCPenney and Weichmann's at Hampton Towne Center would be converted in subsequent years to offices, with Weichmann's becoming a living and learning center for the Bay Area Next School District, and JCPenney becoming a family independence agency office. The Kmart, as recently as my first visit mid-2022, was still abandoned, but has in recent years been taken over by everyone's favorite, Storage of America. And as of recording and releasing this in 2025, the mall is still standing, abandoned, falling apart, and still frozen in time. I would love to go back one day, as there's actually a bit more to the place than meets the eye, as behind the wall near Hot Sam's is an entire wing of the mall, also frozen in time, containing the old Perry drugs, Kinney shoes, and Camelot music. Maybe one day I'll go back, but I was very lucky to see it once, and I hope you all enjoyed it just as much as me. One day I'll return to Adrian Mall and do a proper video in the daytime, as this place was just way too spooky for me at night. I texted my friend who was waiting outside in the car that I wasn't up for this one, as I just got this bad feeling in my gut. So as I see just a bit more of Adrian Mall, I want to take a moment and thank those of you that have stuck around for watching all the way through tonight's episode. I hope you enjoyed these two amazing small malls and learned something about them along the way. If you enjoyed, hit the like button, and if you want to see more mall tours like this, consider subscribing so you don't miss out on future episodes. Next week we'll be back live streaming at a mall of your choice, but 2 weeks from now we'll be back one last time for the finale of Season 6. 6, a mall that I know a lot of you have been waiting to see, a 3-decked, abandoned mall in the heart of the Rust Belt, which is now half demolished. Guess which mall we'll be at, and I'll shout you out in the next episode. But until then, have yourselves a lovely evening, enjoy the rest of Adrian, and peace out, guys. See you later.
The ceiling is dripping